being confiscated, and in many cases they're being killed. And that scene of, you see how many crosses they have? Those crosses, that's a dead person in every one of them. And those trucks or cars are paying their respects to all of those dead people on a Sunday morning. That's a rough thing to explain away. And the problem we have, and the way, a correct and a fair media exposes things. But we have a very corrupt media. They won't even report this. If this were the other way around, it would be the biggest story. Now, I will say apartheid, terrible. That was the biggest story. That was reported all the time. This is sort of the opposite of apartheid. What's happening now is never reported. Nobody knows about it. All we know is we're being inundated with people, with white farmers from South Africa. And it's a big problem. Marco Rubio was telling me he's never seen anything like it. The numbers of people that want to leave South Africa because they feel they're going to be dead very soon. Yes, Brian, go.
If I can ask a question, 72% of farmers in your country are white. If they flee, do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse? You may not have a gap to fill in those people that we replace those farmers.
I'd like my Minister of Agriculture, who is white, who comes from an opposition party to mine, who's joined my government at my invitation to address this very issue, including the question that
Have you yourself never dreamed of being a Minister of Agriculture?
The White House. I would say we have a rural safety problem. I don't think anyone wants to can cope. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority do want to stay. But they have a memorial to those who died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues in the police and my colleagues in the Justice Cluster to stop making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you see are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Umkhonto weSizwe under Mr. Zuma and economic freedom fighters under Mr. Malema. Now the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government. Because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our parliament, that's what you're going to see. And that's why this government, working today, needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union buildings. Because then South Africa's future is
So you denounced that type of language in the video that we saw?
Oh yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I think, I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, that he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers, mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless, it's valueless, and they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that because they won't talk about this. Because they're all guys like that idiot. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And you know the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
We discussed US AI being the devastating impact that cuts are having across the African continent.
You know, it's devastating, and hopefully a lot of people are going to start spending a lot of money. And I've talked to other nations. We want them to chip in and spend money too. And we've spent a lot, and it's a tremendous problem going on in many countries. A lot of problems going on. The United States always gets the request for money. Nobody else helps, you know. Europe doesn't help. Europe hasn't given anything. All they do is sue our companies. You know, they sue Apple, and they sue all of our companies. Apple had to pay $17 billion on a nonsense lawsuit. Very unfair, but we're going to always be there to help.
Go to a room after this, you guys are going to talk. If it is resolved, what is the potential for the future looking relationships?
It's got to be resolved. It should be resolved. I mean, it's a little bit bad when you see a stadium with 100,000 people in it, because that means it's more than just a little movement. It's a pretty big movement in South Africa, so it has to be resolved. It'll be the end of the country if it's not.
Potential for the relationship moving forward.
I hope so. That's why I'm here. I mean, I'm not here for my health. I'm here to. No, I'd like to see. I have friends. I can tell you, Ernie Els and Chief Lucid, they feel so strongly they wanted to be here on behalf of South Africa, not on behalf of me. And you know, they said, "Can we be here for this?" Because they love the country. Ernie, do you guys want to say a couple of words? I hate to put you in. This is tougher than sinking a 3-footer. They've sank many 3-footers.
Thank you. Thanks for the honor of being here. We have spoken.
No, I'm not American, but the fact I vouched for Trump to be president because he was on a Christian side, I kind of feel guilty now.
So,
Like,
you know, but we want to see.
I had a feeling that he was using his Christianity as a hoax to be president, and I didn't want to say anything because I thought it might make me seem like a bad Christian. I should have been more discerning than that.
1990 and before that. So it's been 35 years of ANC government. And I know there's a lot of anger, you know, through the transition. There's also a lot of stuff happening in the apartheid days. You know, we grew up in the apartheid era. But I don't think two wrongs makes a right. You know, President Mandela, when he came out of prison for all that time, didn't come out with hatred. You know, and really unified our nation through sport. You know, we won the Rugby World Cup in '95. We won the African Nations Cup, soccer. You know, we won some majors as golfers and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, this has been a long time coming. That's why we really wanted to meet you, meet the administration, and see our way forward. Because we still want to see our country flourish. You know, we've got some great things going on. Business is getting involved with government. Farmers are getting involved in local municipalities, trying to rebuild some of the infrastructure that's been decaying for a long time. So there's a lot of coexistence going on in
long time. Even in the days of the war, up in Angola, you guys helped us. So, very important for us to have your support and, get the change we need.
Where did you do that well? You might have done that even better than he plays golf. Which is almost impossible. Johan, please.
President, if you had to widen all of those things properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that Ramaphosa. Number one, for over 10 years, Mr. Mandela. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman. And look how he's changed. We have too many deaths. But it's across the board. It's not only white farmers. It's across the board. We need technological help.
It's funny you say that because on TikTok, before this started, we see saying that Malema should have gone to representatives.
I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US SpaceX, the really fuel. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York would be what it became. Commissioner Duff Mayer. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. Ernie's right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Trafford. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens. We stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, first it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Watts many years ago at Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that occurs. I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've been against the apartheid all my life, and I'm the number one target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the floor. The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape where I live. Well, the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33 or these guys. We've got equivalents there, but we need your help, sir. And we need technology.
Well, one of the real areas of support is really investment. We've got to grow our economy. Because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. And that is one of the reasons that has brought us here to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you. And we also know that as South African companies invest here, you are also able to create jobs. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So our main real reason for being here is to foster prosperity thrives when people are unemployed, when they have no other hope to eke out a living. So that is what we need to resolve. And we support your partnership with us is what is really going to give us a strong capability to move forward.
Ricky, excuse me, you have anything to say? I don't want to leave you out. You know, the guy won 3 or 4 majors. 3 or 4?
No, I think two.
That's a lot. By the way, 2's a lot. A lot of tournaments we won too. You have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. President Ramaphosa. I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane. And there's some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going, my brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce food.
You wouldn't do it, you wouldn't even want to do what you're doing. They love farming, they don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Those two things you can't supply.
How is the water there?
The water is great, obviously. All the water comes out of a borehole out of ground for us down there. But yeah, it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time. They're trying to get
So
water
does
out.
your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was 8. So it is difficult. But the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Something.
President Trump, I brought along the president of the largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she needs many, many workers, more than 1 million, 1.5, 2 million workers. And maybe we should give her a chance to say something because she's come all the way to join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for having us and President for extending the invitation to us as organized labor. And I must say that we are here to support the initiative that was made by our government with business, of course, as organized labor. We've been coming to Washington on the AGOA trade relations in the previous regime. And I think at the center of it all, for me, it is exactly what Mr. Rupert said, the importance of us growing the economy. We have always emphasized when we were here and kept on coming and negotiating on board that the 600 US companies that are based in South Africa, as you said, President Ramaphosa, 500,000 jobs will be wiped out. We need more foreign direct investment in our country. We are not just talking about those that will lose employment, but we're talking about over 40% of people that are unemployed, that have no hope of ever finding a job. And we think that, correctly, as they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders in our country, so that everyone that comes in is documented. We also need to, and I would have thought that the minister would address the issue of land expropriation and how the policy works in South Africa. Recently, President, as you were preparing to come here on the news, I think it was in Natal, there was a handover of farms, and white farmers were saying, we are donating the land, but also there's a willing buyer, a willing seller in South Africa. So there is no expropriation without compensation, but it is a willing buyer, willing seller. And that white farmer was even saying that the government is even paying more in buying the land than what the land is worth. And I think those are the realities, President, that we must say that we need to address, of course, but also the importance of agriculture linked to our goal. People rely on it, and I think, as Latif have said, for survival and living. But lastly, for me, President, is also the issue of the crime statistics. There is no doubt about that we are a violent nation, for a number of reasons, and we're not condoning it. But also, if you go into the rural areas where black majority are, you will see women, elderly, being raped, being killed, being murdered, and these are black elderly women that would be found throat slits, raped multiple times, and all of that. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Genocide is a very strong word. I wonder if you can make up your mind as to whether you believe genocide is occurring in South Africa or somewhere else. If you can't make up your mind, why invite President Ramaphosa here today?
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. Something along by our past administration. It would have never happened if I were president, but I'm trying to save lives. And no matter where, Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there. And he did an unbelievable job, I think. I mean, we're going to find out, but he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be. And it's a very small investment to do, believe me, compared to what the consequences are. So I hope we can do something. Look, I have so many friends. These two men, I have great admiration for them because I know what they do for a living. And that's a very hard living. Going from city to city, from country to country, and hitting a ball 350 yards like they do, and getting the ball in the hole. It's a very tough, with lots of people watching, right?
Yes,
It's a very tough living. They're champions. I respect champions. And I respect very much, and I think the country is very lucky. They really wanted to be here. They could be elsewhere. They could be on a beautiful fairway someplace, and they wanted to be here. So.
How important is it for the United States to be at our G20 summit in November, given the relationship between our two countries? You just heard what has been said to you just now. Are you coming, and are you prepared to come?
So without the United States, the G20, just like the G7, used to be the G8, but brilliantly they threw Russia out. Would have been a lot better if Russia was in. A lot of people would say, oh, that's not, because if Russia was in, you probably wouldn't have this war. And if you had a different president, you wouldn't have the war either. But we have a G7. It's important that the United States is involved. I think without the United States, it's I really believe it's not very important. It's not the same meaning.
As I said to President Trump, the US really originated the G20. And it's important that the United States continues to play a key role in the G20. And we are privileged to be the president of the G20. But we are even overjoyed that we are going to hand over to the United States, who are the originators. And for that reason, I expect the United States to continue playing the leadership role in the G20 together with other countries. And I've said when I initially spoke to President Trump on the phone, I want you to come to South Africa for a state visit. And I also want you to come and participate in the G20. And I want to gladly hand over to President Trump to take the leadership of the G20 forward in November.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. You don't want to leave.
That's very nice.